welcome back to Madam Bonsai channel. Today we're talking about air layering maybe. So I just pulled this tree off my pretty much side of my garden, sitting on top of little footpath there. I done this air layering maybe about 3 months ago, so we'll show you how to go through the process of air layering with that now. You can't call this a bonsai yet, but look at it. I must have done such a rough job. The tree was so tall. So I'm going to cut all the wire off, clean up all this, pot it up in the bonsai, remove the air layering up there. So give me maybe an hour to do this. And then I will show you the process of the air layering, of how to do it. That is more successful than it is. Don't have to go too fancy with them too. If you have root hormone, it's good. Without root hormone, you can still do an air layering too. So I'll show you all the little funny thing that I do, that I know it works.
So, and why have you chosen to air layer this specific tree?
Firstly, Dave, it's so tall. I didn't had enough branch and didn't had enough time to lazy to craft on branches. So I just shortened the tree down, but then it had a beautiful top up there. Then instead of throwing it away, I just want to make a mini bonsai on the top, and then we end the tree a lot shorter. So now and then you try to save the tree to have another tree on top there, Dave. Let's check this one out and see how it's doing. This has been done 6 months ago, and I wanted to show everyone how simple it is to do an air layering without kind of too much of work. Not really crazily root yet. Let's see. Should I cut this off yet now? So with this one now, that already had roots. So they in flower now, but I'm gonna just take most of them off just to let stress for this tree when you pot it up again, to save it, to grow it into a bonsai in future. So I'm gonna take all the energy off the leaf a little bit. Try to show you this tree maybe a year later and see if I can end up with some small nice broom style bonsai. Oh, there's a little berry still there. Pyragantha. I do think they do unique bonsai. So now if you pot this up, pot into really soft soil. So I'm gonna use Kanuma, really soft soil, put it in a big pot, soak it into water for the next few days. Every 2 days you put it in a water bucket, take it out and then back in again. Just make sure you don't root that. Or you can cover this with completely sphagnum moss and grow it again to build better root base. But that is one out. I'll leave it here for now.
So, and looking at this tree, And you mentioned about the height is the reason why you did it.
Yes.
But did you select that branch purely because you wanted to cut the height, or did you select it so that that tree is cut at a ideal spot?
Ideal spot. I actually think the tree was so tall, I didn't know what to do with it. And at the time when I had this tree out of the pot, it was so uninviting. Very old tree, but it wasn't have any of this branch that was alive. So it kind of like hard project that you wanted either to create a bonsai or just shorten it up. So I think now it's become a little bit more that I can make this tree into a bonsai. I think I might cut the tree down to about there even. See if you have time, you can do another air layering here. Because the tree I only wanted to that, and that the leader there. So let's trim all this out and then pot it up, and then you can see what I mean by that. So sometimes with bonsai, you don't choose to do anything. You're halfway doing it and you find that maybe I shouldn't waste of this material to chop it off. The tree was so tall you couldn't store anything, then you can air layering it if you have time. If not, you can always cut off. See how rough I did the wiring, because I know it's just only there to create the shape. So we cut all that off now.
When you consider, and when you think of air layering, is there a minimum branch thickness that you need for air layering?
Not really. Air layering is almost like a shortcut of growing plant from seed. So you don't have to worry about the bare minimum of branches, or is it old or is young. You can, a lot of variety, you can successfully air layering a very old branches or very young one. Some variety can root better than the other. Also depend on the root hormone you use too, and the technique of how you do it. I find what's successful for me is, it doesn't matter where the branch is, young one, old one. If you see something nice, you just air layering is the quickest bonsai you can ever do. I would think it is a cheating kind of way of doing bonsai, but that's how it works.
And what's the optimal time of year?
The warm weather is the best to do the air layering, because the tree is active. So spring is good. If you do any other weather that is not so warm, after you cover it, you can cover it with a foil. It creates a little bit more heat, the root too. So I do, anytime I touch the tree and I think it needs to be done, I do it. But if you only have a beautiful tree in the garden and you want to air layering, then you could just wait. For now is a good time. It's a spring, so about 20 degrees is a good time to do it. Warmer is better too. Just make sure you seal it. So I'll show you the process of how to do that after we clean up this tree. And then we do one to complete it, so you know how easy it is to do an air layering, so you can end up with a nice bonsai. You can wash all this off if you want, if it's a quicker process, because this is just normal soil that I grow in, bark and soil, and that's about it. Just pot mix. I wasn't sure this tree got treated right by me. I just left it on the side of where we normally walked in and out, but it seemed to do it all right. Have a look at this tree. So we're talking about air layering before you see the Piroganta. This is a Taiwanese maple. if you look at it, they look quite similar with the trident on the leaf. But look at this beautiful flower. And when they come out, they're almost white. So quite difficult to find. But I bought this tree as just a garden tree. But have a look at this. Originally, I just want this for one tiny little bonsai for future. But while we're talking about air layering more as well, I just do a quick video on air layering this, and then we can have a little bonsai here that is beautiful here in future. All that just for that. So instead of waste all this. So here is the bonsai I wanted to make just there. One side brown, and this is the leader later. So it's just two brown. Instead of wasted all that, I'm gonna do a few air layering here for someone else to enjoy this tree later. So that gonna cut off, that gonna cut off, and top that gonna cut off. So let's do a bit of air layering here. Talking about air layering, you got this long stick here. What do you want this tree for? Think ahead before you want to cut it off where. So if you see here, there's a beautiful twin trunk up here. So let air layering just about there, not all the way down here. Then later on, you got the root here and you got this straight trunk, don't know what to do. So let air layering about just there, so I can end up with a twin trunk up here. So let's start it here. I didn't have enough tool, but let's do this. Use this. Turn your tree around your turntable or by hand. Use any secateur like this. If you get standing knife and all that, it's difficult, but just tight, like holding a bird. Turn your secateur around like that. And you do the cut just on the skin. If the trees is about your thumb size, you get that similar. If it is on the turntable, you use the other hand to turn it. Now, it's very simple to get it out now. It's just that you'll clean up any maple. So don't you, if you more handy with standing knife and all that, use that. But this is the trick that I do all the time. So if I do it on the next brand here, maybe that one we just have a normal upright tree. You do the same. You just turn your turntable. Your hand can stay still. And then you slip it out. And that's it. It's as clean as that. And then now you dried it out for maybe a good, to me, is a good 20 minutes to half an hour to let it dry before you do anything. Like touching it or keep this really clean. They will lick out a little bit of sap. They seal it first before you do anything, and the success rate, I can almost on 95% of all maple if you keep that dry for the next half an hour.
And how deep do you do it?
Just through the skin of the, you see that jet to the wood, and you just peel off the skin. When you apply the next, when the root hormone, I explain to you why these have to be clean. If you not clean it completely, some of the, it will successful too. Like you clean half and half, you leave the skin too. But it means the water, the energy still can fit up to here. What we did then, it only, only to separate the tree out so that it doesn't fit up here. They try to survive, so they will root there with a bit of root hormone help. While we were waiting for the Taiwanese maple to dry out for us to do the air layering, we bring this tree back in, so it's been washed. So now we're just gonna cut off all this root that hanging out that we don't need it. With root cutting, don't scared of doing it, because every time you do this, you stimulate the tree to grow better root system, and also it helps the tree to retain better water too when you repot any tree. So we pick this, I bring out a few pot there, but I picked this pot to do for this tree. So the same with any repot I do, so treat it exactly like the repot. So a bit of suckerbank dama down to all the drain hole to help the soil not block. And then this is a soil mix that I always use. As you see, 50% of akadama, 20% of sakadama, and the rest you can use this pine bark. When you repot a tree that bare rooted like this, you can always add a little bit more akadama, only just to retain the water a bit better. If you want the perfect mix presented, watch the other video I have on soil mix. So mold the soil in the middle of the pot like that. Pick your tree and you slide it in, and then you just wiggle the tree until it sits to the turntable line. So we're gonna put it on here. You probably find it a bit funny why I pot the tree like this, but because the tree haven't been selecting the branch and all that, so we'll do that in a minute. Fit the soil in so. By now everyone will probably know that I use anything in front of me. Soil scoop probably is flying somewhere there. Back of your tool or just a chopstick to go the soil out. Just wiggle them around just until you fit it in. Make sure no air pocket. We will clean up all the root and all that a little bit later. You can do half that, and now you can tie your tree, or you can tie your tree beforehand, whatever comfortable with you. I'm going to try to hide this a little bit. Take your time to do all this. So just remember, when I do a YouTube, I try to fit everything in the video, so I might have to miss a few little things, but when you do it yourself, take your time, do all this very careful. It will help your health of the tree in future, and also like 4 or 5 years later, you don't have to repot the tree too. So I'm going to roughly do that because I wanted to show you where we're going to pick this tree to make it in future growth of the tree. Definitely we were air layering there before, but I had someone sit in front of me now. So I wanted to change the leader of that, because if the trees is still there, it's too tall. So I wanted the tree just that. One pet there, one there, one there. And this is our leader. Just there. So we're going to take off this. If you have time, you can air layering this one again, but I just wanted one tree only. So I'm going to cut this off. We wasted a little tree. That's okay. There you go. I think that's good size, and we will give it a little trim and cut to this one too. There we go. shame the trees is actually almost flower. Now I have to cut everything off. But that's okay. For next year purpose. So as you see this tree before, I pre-wired last year already. That why now I don't have to do too much wiring on it. Just let this grow. Let's do a little bit of like cut and grow for this tree from now on. So go back to the cut here. After you cut, you seal it first. Don't worry about styling or running to make it look smooth yet. Let the tree heal first, and then 6 months later you go back in, because if I do any machine run or any perfect cut now, the tree will lose too much energy to it. So just seal it first. No dehydration for the tree, and that's what we want. No losing water. And then next 6 months you can do a bit of carving or cut it in a little bit. Use a lopper to make it more like a top. You can use any sealer you have, or I use this product here from Japan. If you want to buy that Madam Bonsai website, do sell them, or give me a call. I can post this out to you. My favorite sealer, or you can use any other product, whatever you have. The sealer purpose is just to stop the tree losing any fluid and don't get rot and all that. So that pretty much you trim the tree to the sign that future growth of the bonsai is there. Now we'll go back to the root bag. That actually I'm happy there. This actually I'm okay. But if you turn this side here, there's one root sticking up here. It's a little bit too far. You can do over rock and all that. But for my choice today, I'm going to remove this. Once you remove any of this, just use one of these lopper to cut it, so later on the scar can go in a bit better too. Make sure you seal them. In summer you can get away with not sealing them, so it doesn't rot. But and then at the same time, sometimes they don't do too well with fungus and all that get in. So best to seal it with anything you have. That's fine. Any sealer you using is okay.
Where would someone buy those loppers?
Can buy it from me. We do sell them too on either our website, or just send me a text messaging. They all Japanese too. We do sell Chinese too, a bit cheaper. But I use more of this product here that it lasts me forever. This one probably lasts me 7 years already. This one over 10 years is still fine. We do share all the product that I use that I know is good. Anything else is not good, I often don't want to sell it. So that done, don't water it straight away, because all the sealer, you just put it on. If you spray the water on now, you will wash all that off. So don't hurry up to water the tree. You can water it straight away if you don't have any sealer. If not, just leave it for, this one take about 30 minutes to kind of dry, and then later on you can water this, or you can dip it in a bucket of water, sit it for overnight and take it out, or just water it gently through, and then put it away, and hopefully in a few years you have a beautiful bonsai to enjoy. And there you go, Paraganta. Let's go back to air layering. So we put this tree away, and I'll get the maple in to do the process of air layering. So the idea of what we do next is to keep the moistures here so the tree can root. You can use any of these cup, plastic bag, or anything. But if you happen to use what I normally use, you just cut a channel out like that. As long as it's keep the moistures in there. or easy exercise is a sphagnum moss. I don't know if anyone use it, but I wanted to show you all these little tips we do back then. Just imagine I don't have sphagnum moss in Vietnam, or it's almost impossible to access to sphagnum moss, but really you don't need any of those just to do any air layering. It's just as simple as just to keep the moisture there to grow. You can do this pure in water too. If you put a cup here with water, and the tree will root too. I use Kamuda. Any soil you use, you can use sphagnum moss, any soil that is really fine, so it helps the root to grow a bit easier. That's all it is. What I do next is really that what is going to root the help the tree to root. So it's not a really good exercise for anyone, but you will find it. You find your own way, but I do really weird stuff, don't I? Magic trick. Foil. This cooking foil. Fold the shiny part out and then wrap this inside it. You don't have to make this look nice. You don't have to make it fancy. The foil are so easy to do because you can just crush them and they form into it. They do a few things. So now you know that when you try to grow root, you need the heat and the moisture. So the foil will create the reflection of the sun heat here. So you can do this. It will heat up like 4 or 5 degrees different than normal. Once you finish that, just tip in some water. You can see the difference when you do one with the foil, one without. Don't seal it completely. Every time you water the tree, you water that too. But kind of keep it folding so the moisture stay there. Don't let it dry out. With this, and I will do this one without the foil. I do exactly the same exercise. Then we open this up in about 9 weeks for you guys to see the difference. The one with the foil and the one without the foil. So we will go back and do this tree again together. I will look at this tree again together very shortly. And I think that's it. It will root like what you see before. You know, the piraganta we cut out before. We use just a little garden pot. And that was just only sitting there with my normal soil and then water, and it's all root up too. So air layering is very simple and easy. You can do anything with them and they still root as long as you keep this moist at all time. Don't let it dry out. That's about it. We do this one without the foil. You can use bonsai wire. You can use anything to tie it, but I just use the tape because it just helped me a lot quicker, easier, because I work a lot by myself. I forgot to mention this. Why the color look like this, the water. I mix normally 1 teaspoon of the root hormone of this product. Read your product carefully. If they tell you to mix 1 ml into 100 ml of water, can you just double the strength for me? So what I did here is 1 teaspoon of this with only 1 cup of this of water. I'll use this to help the root a bit faster. That's all it is. It stays in the soil. So one we do with the foil, one we do without, and then we will look at that in 9 weeks, see which one do better. But I know this one will root a lot faster and a lot more too. Water your tree normally as usual. Every time you water here, give it a bit of water there. If you're not confidently keep this moist, you can seal it completely, then it will never dry out. But I leave it open because I know I'm always in the garden. I don't have to seal it. That's all for today. And if you think you like what Madam Bonsai does, please subscribe and ask me or request what you want me to see. Whatever you're not sure, please ask and I will give you the answer for the next video. And then later on, one that root, we will redesign this and make a very small bonsai on the bottom here. Just that part there. I'm too lazy, or else we can air layering another one there. And then someone else can end up with these two on the top for a beautiful Taiwanese maple. So here they are.